Hi, I'm Eddie Burke. I've been the bartender at the Hollywood Improv for 40 years, and this is my podcast, Eddie's Bar at the Improv. All right, guys, I'm Eddie Burke. You're at Eddie's Bar at the Improv. I'm going to conversate. Is that a word, conversate?
Well, first off, I like to start by saying I'm really not happy to be here.
Well,
and if it wasn't for your relationship you have with this club, you know what I'm saying? You know how you have to like pay people back favors and shit? When they told me that Eddie was going to do a podcast, I was like, why?
right? Okay.
And my next question was like, do I have to do it? And then they were like, well, if you want to continue to work at all the improvs in the country, so by no means am I here on my own will.
If you want to continue working at the improvs across, what do you do?
Well, it's obviously I have to do your podcast.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you do stand-up still? By the way, this is Donnell Rawlings for anybody that doesn't know.
And if you don't know Donnell Rawlings, a.k.a. Ashy Larry, a.k.a. I'm rich, bitch, a.k.a. the Eddie Killer, a.k.a. I hate this dude. It's a love-hate. What's that song? It's a thin line between love and him. Ooh.
Thank you.
This is... But this, I just got out of my handcuffs. They handcuffed me to come here first, and they said we're gonna let you go if
you see his back. He's got whip marks on it.
If you talk to Eddie, then we may continue to support you. So that's the only reason I'm here.
All right.
I don't want to be here.
It's okay. I don't care why you're here. You're here.
Like whenever,
That's
like comedy is a thing, Eddie, where you get excited when you go in an establishment, right? And normally they put their best employees in the front row when you first come in. And I don't know if it's like you were grandfathered into this.
Well,
like they're forced to be here.
Yeah.
But whenever, my mood would be so good, but whenever I see you, it's just like me walking, like Eddie Murphy and what movie when they walked into the bar?
Oh, with Nick Nolte or
we walked to the bar.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Every time I walk in this bar and I see you, I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong place.
Well, you are.
Yeah.
You should have gone next door.
I would have gone next door if you wouldn't have begged me to be on this podcast.
Ah, well, I had a weak moment, and
unfortunately, I will say I'm very. It's a hard thing for me to say, Eddie. I'm supportive of you in this bullshit podcast.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. No problem. So I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
And hopefully you'll answer it. It's a very simple question. How did you get started in this business?
Well, I got started as a heckler. I was I was waiting to be a DC police officer in Washington DC. A lot of people don't know that because of my reputation so gangster. They don't know I was on the other side of the law. This was way before Black Lives Matter. And I was waiting to be a DC police officer. I was head of security at a grocery store. And as part of a thing we would
training.
Always good training. And a part of what we used to do, we used to go to a comedy. The people that worked at the grocery store, they would go to comedy clubs. This comedy club in particular, every Tuesday night, they invited me to go out. I started heckling comedians. I became I was funnier than 80% of the lineup. And the club wanted me to shut up. So they, similar to you, same energy as you. And so they dared me to go on stage. Of course, I didn't do it the first time they dared me. Second time I went on stage, I ripped it. And 25 years later, I never looked back. It was all by chance. Never thought I'd do stand-up. I was always a fan of comedy, but I never thought I'd do it.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody start like that. I mean, there are plenty of hecklers. You know that better than me.
A heckler is only someone that wants to be a comedian but don't have the balls to do it.
Mm-hmm. But you did.
I did. Because usually, it's easier. One thing what I realized I would never heckle again is that it's so easy to heckle from your seat because nobody expects you to win.
Right.
Nobody expects you to be funny. Nobody paid to see you, so you could do whatever. But once I flipped it and went in front of that audience and I saw these people staring at me, I was like, oh, this is the big league. But that's how I started as a heckler. I
want to tell everybody too that because a lot of people don't know or care who you are. That you are.
I'll argue that point. I'll argue that point.
Well,
yeah.
It won't work. That Donnell is a comedian, actor, writer, former radio host who got fired. From his radio job.
I got fired. They say you're nobody in radio until you've been fired 3 times. I've been fired 4 times, which means
you're top of the list.
I'm ready for the Hall of Fame.
Why'd you get fired? What'd you do?
Well, a lot of times in radio, the contracts they give comedians, because they don't know what's going to happen, they have like a no cause clause where they could just wake up one morning and just say they don't want you there. And every time I got fired, it wasn't well, fired. They didn't say fired. They said they moved in a different direction. But it was one of the times it was when Don Imus was really popping in the news, and every program director felt like they had to do something to show that they're not going to, be down with the type of antics and stuff he did. And I got fired basically because there was a couple of program directors that didn't like me.
I can understand that.
Every time I got a job in radio, I didn't pursue the job. It was like another group or a morning show would lose their job, and I would come in just as a guest, and I did on all these situations, I did such a good job. They said we want him to be part of the lineup, and that's what happened. I never wanted to do radio, I just fell into
the man who came to dinner. You just stayed, huh?
Yep.
You never left.
I never left. That's how it is. But when I come to the Improv and I see you, I'm totally opposite. It's the guy that always
ready
wants
to quit?
leave. Yeah. No, leave.
Oh.
Yeah.
Quit, leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quit, leave, new direction, whatever you want to call it.
It's all the same. This is my brother, Donnell Rawlings, that I'm talking to.
Brother from way, way, way further than another mother, from a whole different generation.
You've done a lot of work. You obviously you're best known for Chappelle. For the
people out there that don't know who I am, says this guy. Yep, I do have a pretty stellar resume.
You was the Chappelle show the launching point for you?
I think it was a combination of things. Before Chappelle show, I did a lot of people don't know I did more dramatic acting than comedic acting.
The Wire,
HBO's The Corner, all the Law and Order series. People didn't even know when I did the Chappelle show. I was like, what is that serious dude doing on Chappelle show? But I had these little things that was going on in my career that I felt built. I was building an audience, but the Chappelle show was the platform where everybody got to see what I did in one place. So the Chappelle show was a big deal.
Is that where you came up with Ashy Larry?
Well, Ashy Larry, when we did that, when we did that sketch, he wasn't Ashy, he was just Larry. But when I was on Chappelle show, and I tell any of the young guys coming up, sometimes you see something on the paper is 1 or 2 lines and people don't get it, they're not as excited. It's like, it's not a really big part. But because they didn't give me a lot of dialogue, I knew that anytime you saw me physically, the physical appearance, I had to be funny. So whenever I had a character, I would try to put different layers on it. So on the paper, when it wrote Larry, he was just a guy to wear boxers. He had dress shoes and he was shooting dice. And I said, I want to be ashy. I want to be so ashy that I could write how much money people owe me on the side of my leg. So it went from Larry to Ashy. And I don't know what it is about America. People are so excited about ashy people, at least from the hood. I don't know if it's some rite of passage is showing you going from ashy classy, but people really connected to that character. And to this day, I'm probably ashy right now.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I have a new name for you now. Wait till you walk in next time, buddy.
I'm going to record
Ashy Donnell. Get the out of here.
Get the ash out of here. Ash
That's right.
But I wrap it out. Ash rules everything around me. Cream, get the lotion. $1.99, y'all. I'm a multi guy here.
You also had a very, very classic part in Spider-Man 2.
Are you being disrespectful?
A little bit, and where you spouted off that very classic line. Whoa!
Can I do it? This is how it all went down. First off, I wasn't supposed to be in that scene. Stan Lee was supposed to have that cameo, but something happened where he couldn't do it. They called me the night before because when I auditioned for it, you audition, they call it the reaction shot. You go in there and they're like, Spider-Man's in the elevator, what would you do? Spider-Man's in the bathroom, what would you do? So I had auditioned for that. They had me on tape. Stan Lee couldn't do it. The night before we went to shoot, they called me. I went there. So Sam Raimi came up to me with a stick and had an X on it. And he's like, Donnell, okay, here's the situation. Peter Parker, he's going to be late for work. He's driving down the street on a moped. His boss tells him if he delivers these pieces late one more time, he's going to be fired. He ducks in the alley. He comes back out as Spider-Man with the pizza. Sam Raimi looked at me and said, Donnell, what are you going to say? And I just said, whoa, he stole that guy's pizza.
That's right. Classic
at the
line.
time I did that, the Academy didn't have a field for lines under 10 seconds. Had they had that, I probably would have got nominated for an Oscar. But
you
that
think
line stuck. In fact, that day, all Sam Raimi kept saying all day was, whoa, he stole that guy's pizza. And that's how it happened.
That's a classic
And
story.
since you want to
classic line.
disrespect that, I would rather have 10 seconds of Spider-Man than to co-star in Soul Plane. So I had to make a decision, and I went with Spider-Man. I went with somebody say, I saw your role in Spider-Man. I'm like, that's one of the biggest movies of all time. It goes down in history, So at the end of the day, I was a part of that, and it was.
You weren't in Soul Plane?
No, I wasn't in Soul Plane.
Oh, man.
But then again, I would have took that too.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have.
Back
I would
then,
have too.
It was tough.
They had every black actor in Hollywood on that movie. They just
Soul Plane, of course they did.
Yeah, they kind of left you out.
A Caucasian plane, they would have had a cheese board, white wine, people paying their taxes on the plane.
When was the first time you ever performed at the Improv? And did it was it a special moment or it was just?
The first time I think probably that I ever performed at an Improv, it probably was the DC Improv on probably some local show years ago. Mm-hmm. But, when I first started, it was like a handful of comedy clubs you wanted to work. I started some 25 years ago. So to be affiliated with the Improv, and it was tough to get in. You're like, how the hell do you get in here? Be funny was one thing.
Yeah.
Be connected and be consistent and have work ethics. But first time, more than likely, it was DC, and I couldn't wait to tell people I work at the Improv. Even though it was one show a year, I was working at the Improv.
Right.
And it's still a name and a brand people respect.
What about this particular club? When was the first time you got here? Were you already up there?
No, I wasn't. I think the first time it was either Rita or Paige. When I first moved from New York to California, a lot of people didn't know me as a stand-up. I had more acting work. Mm-hmm. But then I would look on marquees, and I was like, God damn, I'm funny. I'm funny. Yeah. I'm funny than this guy. But I think Paige was one of the first people that recognized me as being a funny guy and would give me spots. And she started giving me spots. I started doing my thing, and I've been working regularly since. It's unfortunate because...
You see me.
Yeah, exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth.
I know.
Paige, you set me up.
You made me lose my... I've watched a number of your videos. I hate to say this, but you're just damn hilarious. But, but you also are very outspoken on a lot of, just subject matter and all things that really kind of concern.
Fearless would be a better word.
A what? Yeah.
Fearless.
Okay, I can go with that. I watched you kind of calling out Pete Davidson.
But the thing is, when
it was a good call out.
It wasn't even disrespect. Here's the thing.
No, was not.
Here's the thing. It's just hard for me because I got a certain amount of respect at an older age, and sometimes I look back at I was like, what if you had the success that Pete Davis had before he's 21? Mm-hmm. How would you deal with that? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know what's going on with him mentally. But the issues that I've seen him have in public are issues that people would love to have. You know what I'm saying? Someone saying something about you dating one of the baddest women in the business, super pop star, whatever. As a comedian, your life is on showcase for everybody. Right. So you have to have the type of skin to be able to deal with whatever's going to be handed your way. You can't go to, I think it's whack to go to a club and tell somebody, well, don't say this on stage. You have to deal with that. Right. The same way when Chappelle left and he came back, when the Chappelle show was so hot, people were yelling out, I'm Rick James, bitch, what did the five fingers say to the face? You're going to get that. And it's not people heckling you, it's people that are excited to be a part of your show. So I just think with Pete Davis, I love that guy. I used to do guy code with him. But I don't know if he listened to what I'm saying, but you can't take this that serious. And at the end of the day, you got to look at how blessed you are to be able to be a part of a show like SNL, to be a movie star, to make good money, and people love and adore you. Embrace that and focus on the good things of what you're doing, opposed to somebody yelling out or heckling. That's some simple shit.
Well, where I was going with it, and what I appreciated the way you said it in the interview that I think it was with TMZ at the airport or something like that, was that it's
It was
a
one
life
of my
you
sober
chose.
TMZ interviews.
I know you're rarely sober. The the fact that you just said, look, dude, this is a life you chose.
You asked for it.
You know, and so you have to accept that kind of stuff with
Right.
it. And a lot of people, unfortunately, not just comedians, actors and stuff too, just
And then the
have
thing,
a hard time.
People always say, do you get tired of people yelling out catchphrases from Chappelle? You get tired of people calling you Ashy Larry? You know, like I know, it's so hard to be recognized for anything in this business. So you finally get recognized for something, then you're like, oh, don't call me that. It doesn't make sense to me.
Do you kind of feel like you've achieved a lot of the goals you maybe set out for so far? Not to say that you've achieved everything, but just you're on your way.
I do. My number one goal, the thing, you see people get in this business, they want fame and they want riches, but they don't want to put the work in. You know what I'm saying? My thing has always been, I never call myself famous. I never call myself a star. Only thing I ever wanted to be was good. And I know, I was like, if you're good, that'll translate into all the things that you want. It'll translate into the fame. It'll translate into the money. But I've always been a comedian that I just really pride myself on working hard to be one of the best. When I started in New York, before I got passed at the Comedy Cellar and all the clubs in there, it wasn't that I was super excited to work the club. I was excited to be on a lineup with what people consider to be the best comedians. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do, and I think you're more than good. I think like if you're smart, you go online to the Donnell Rawlings webpage, you will see a boatload of videos that you are just hilarious.
The thing I can't control my acting career. Because someone, unless you produce your own stuff, someone has to say, we liked you in the audition. To be quite honest, I would be flat broke if I was paying my bills off of acting. Comedy is the thing that I've supported myself with. It's the most consistent thing. And that's why I really pride myself on being good at it and taking it serious.
I agree, because being a comic, you have your own, you have your control of yourself, of where you go, what you do. As an actor, somebody else is making a decision whether or not they want you or they don't want you.
Right.
So you don't.
And with stand up for me, it's like this: you can't take this away. Whether I work another acting gig for the rest of my life, I'll still be able to. I've built enough name where I'll still be able to go out to a comedy club and make money doing it. And that's the thing I'm most proud of. What I've made myself as a stand up comic, to be able to be respected, and not only that, but be able to produce,
Well, I think that part is there, because even like when you walked in and yelled at me and left last night, this couple asked
no, that's not last night, it's every night.
Wow, I was like, that was the most recent.
And then it's sad, the worst thing about it is that I don't know how you do it, but you really have friends here, and I can't stand that.
Listen, I don't even know what to say.
Let me tell you something, Eddie.
I'm at a loss for words.
For me to walk in here and someone says, "Oh, he's so sweet," I'm like, "You don't know the dude that I know." I hate that, and that's the testament of how good of an actor you are, because you got people believing that you're a good guy.
All right, I know my wife.
Far from the truth.
You should meet my wife, because she says the same things. Why?
Yeah.
Do they not know you? I've lived with you for almost 40 years.
Yeah, we need to get her on this podcast and tell some real honest stuff.
Oh man, no, I couldn't. Yeah, you'd never see me again.
Yeah.
How is it like performing in front of like theater full of people? Not just 200 people or whatever, but when you're on the road and you've got a full theater of like 2,000.
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. I appreciate those shows. I've done from shows with 10 people to shows with 25,000 people, and to be quite honest, the ones like it's the improvs, that get you prepared to be on a bigger stage. I think that when I do an audience of 10 or 15 people, those shows are more challenging, because you see a lot of comedians, they don't give 100% if there's not a certain amount of people in the audience. And I've always said, man, if you got to give up the same energy from 5 people to 20,000 people, it's the same thing. But you feel like when you do those theater shows, for me, it feels like everything you've been working for, all those late night spots, all those times where it's 10 or 15 people there, 20 people, set don't go well, it prepares you for the grand stage. But I appreciate all of them equally.
That's good because, I come from back when Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David were here, when they were not so much starting, but...
You were probably here when Jesus was here, but go ahead.
I was, and but he's not here anymore.
No.
Anyway...
Thank God. No, I'm just joking.
Anyway, they had... they would be performing, like Larry especially, at the end of a show, and if there's 5 people in the show, he was just doing his act like there's 500.
You got to give it. A couple years ago, I was doing my baby shower, setting my baby shower up for my son.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
Austin.
There's a celebrity chef that I know that said that she was going to, help me with the food prep and everything. And we were good friends. We worked together in the past, and everything was cool. But closer we got to the date, she started. It was like, oh, I want you got to talk to my manager. You got to talk to all this. I was like, it's not that serious, right? And then she just yelled out. She said, Donnell, I don't do open mics anymore. Do you do open mics? And I told her, I said, let me tell you something. Not only do I do open mics, this is when we had a residency at Radio City Music Hall with Dave Chappelle. One night in particular, I did a show for 6,500 people, got a standing ovation, got off stage, drove to a CD's place in Brooklyn, and performed for 25 people. You know what I'm saying? To me, there's no difference. Again, going back to what I said earlier, you got to be prepared to give it all to everybody.
Yeah, unfortunately not everybody's willing to do that. Now, you've and it really kills me to say this, but you've earned your spot. You've worked hard at what your craft is, and you're still developing it. Everybody is continuously developing
The
their
one
craft.
thing with my peers and people that I know, and you'll hear, you ask almost anybody in the comedy community, if you bring up my name, the thing that they're going to say most...
I'm not bringing up your name,
all
so
right.
don't worry about it.
Well,
It
for
ain't
all
happening.
you people out here, bring
It's
out
not
my
happening.
name in the streets to tell you that this guy puts in the work. And the thing that I respect the most, especially building relationships in comedy, I don't really care if you think I'm a great guy. I care on what you think I produce on that microphone. You know what I'm saying? That's the one place I want to be respected. You can be cool off stage all you want, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is like, what do you do when you're on that stage? And every time, for 25 years, every time I go on stage, I try to kill an audience. And after 25 years, every year, I think I'm getting better at it.
I'm sure you are. It always blows me away when, like I said, like last night, 2 people just sitting at the bar, and you walk in and they go like, "Oh my God, it's Donnell Rawlings,"
And then
I'm
you
going
turned
like,
your back on me.
I do.
And you walked away, and you was like this. You cut him off.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, that's no more drinks for you.
Well, I had to. I mean, I had to. Who recognizes you?
Everybody, Eddie, everybody walk with me, bro. You're so disrespectful, man.
Oh man,
You
well,
are so disrespectful. This is what happens when you get of a certain age. You're just disrespectful and ornery and mad about
no,
everything.
that's not true. I try to be nice to you, and what happens is you come in and you go, "Oh shit, he must want something."
No,
It's
Eddie, you never try to be. You never try to be nice to me.
That's not true.
You never try to be. You don't remember one nice thing you've ever said about me. This is what, and I don't know
One nice
if you're
thing.
that much of a religious person, but every time I walk in this bar, the first thing I hear is, "Oh God." I don't know if you're praying that I leave or whatever, but you're never nice to me.
That's it.
And the messed up thing about it, people think I'm picking on you because
That's
we
right,
we
you
go
are.
at it on sight.
That's right.
They was like this, why is he doing that to that guy? I'm like, you guys don't know the guy that I know.
No, it's true. They right away they hate you because I'm just this
But I put
just
them in the
sweet old
bathroom, and then when I
man.
finish, they don't believe it. I tell them you're a dirty old man.
Well, that's
I'm
okay.
like this. The Me Too movement was started because of him. I was like, he's flowing commando right now. He's flowing commando right now. In fact, he used to give Bill Cosby the Quaaludes to motherfucking dope people and shit at the bar. And Eddie got him.
But that was I don't know how you knew that. It was in a little.
Oh, everybody
thing. It's
knows.
like-
Whether you know it or not, everybody knows it. It's just being nice to you.
Going back to some of your what is it? Political incorrectness, correctness, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Another little bit I saw was, well, not a bit, an interview, was the use of the N-word.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of, I kind of really agreed with what you said about it as far as black people or white people go.
Right.
In the sense that white people can use it. It's okay. Go ahead and use it. But be ready to deal with
The
repercussions.
responsibility of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are making an argument. When can you say it? Why are you fighting for it? Just don't say it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you fighting? Just don't say it. You know what I'm saying? Know what? Better yet, say it. And then, like I said, you deal with the repercussion of it. Because anybody, you make the argument, why do you say, why is it okay for me to say? Because I know, and everybody know when you're using words to hurt people. And that's my biggest thing with that. When you use the words to hurt people. I say it in my show. You know what I'm saying? I've said that. I even said it like I never said that Eddie was my nigga before. So
no, but
you never use it in that context.
Okay, but the reason I bring it up is because, I don't know, I used to be a teacher, back in the day.
Oh my God, I feel sorry for those students. Jesus Christ, man.
And this
did you wear the little box with the little underwear? Don't tell me you were a gym teacher,
shut up for a second.
All right.
Yeah, Jesus.
You as a gym teacher would have been the most perverted thing I ever
wasn't
heard.
a gym teacher.
Okay, all right.
I was a behavioral counselor, a dean of students.
Why didn't you take your own class?
They wouldn't let me.
Yo, that's the funniest shit I've ever heard. Oh my God.
Oh God, now I'm gone.
No.
It was like what, 1970, whatever, 69, 70, for about 6 or 7 years, and the N-word had just started to be used.
You said it just came out.
No.
It just was released, like it just came out on Motown.
It did.
That's right. We got the classic souls and coming up the N-word.
It started to be used where, like, some of the students or whatever would go like, yo, you're my, and it would just drive the black teachers crazy because they, as me, was brought up. That's a dirty word, or was.
But to see, but that's another thing too. It's a age thing. It's generation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I understand for some people of a certain age, they know the word of it being nasty and evil. That's why you're never going to get, say you got an 80-year-old and you got a 20-year-old, they never going to see eye to eye on that word.
Right.
They're never going to do it because when you got the people that went through the civil rights movement and all that type of thing, when they heard that word, it was always laced with something nasty.
Right.
But the guys and a lot of people in the black community, they took the sting out of it. They use it as a word of endearment. This argument is always going to go for around and round and round, around and round. But at the end, like I said earlier, choose some other words. Y'all can't have all the words. And we tried to come up with a word that competes with the N word. Like, we try everything. Cracker just don't have the same. It just don't have the same thing. It don't have the same sting as the N word.
There is nothing.
But unless you say cracker ass cracker, now that might be getting I have somewhere. An N word. Yeah. And then put cracker ass cracker. If you do it like that, it could have a sting. But just cracker, it just don't sound right.
It doesn't. Nothing will match that.
Nothing.
It just doesn't.
Cracker and cheese, nothing of that.
When I first heard guys,
we just changed it. Could call it Eddie. That's the new N word.
It's not funny.
We just use your name. It's funny to me. We'll just use your name as you old Eddie ass. Eddie ass Eddie.
Jesus Christ. Are we done yet? No. See, again, you make me. You're just too damn funny.
And that's why you resist it. You make me laugh. Why you holding it in? It is what it is.
I don't want people to think I think you're funny.
Here's the thing.
Jesus.
This is our relationship. I hate you. You hate me. But we love each other. But it's like a love-hate relationship, and it's challenging. Whenever I love it. Whenever I come here, I was like this. It's almost like you got to get past at the bar first. You know what I'm saying? Are you working what main room? Are you working the main room or the bar? You know what I'm saying? You working the bar.
Yeah, I know. I have heard people say like, you're not accepted unless Eddie says something nasty to you.
Yeah.
Then you're okay.
Oh, then you must be love. You have like homosexual love for me because you always say nasty shit to
God
me.
Damn.
And I look forward to it too.
Where else are we gonna go here?
I brought my son. You met my son here, right?
I did. Your son.
And I told him, don't laugh at you. Don't do anything.
Yeah, you said that in front of me
and
too.
I told him, I said, you know what he is? He's like a perverted Santa Claus. I was like, son, don't fucking love him because he's like Santa Claus with his dick out. All right, and no kid wants to experience that unless they're in Neverland.
Oh, God.
Okay, sorry, too much information.
No, that's okay. It's fine.
That's funny.
It is funny. Speaking of your son, you've got him going now in show business.
Well, it's like the thing I'm excited about with him. I'm not pushing him in show business, but this is one of the only professions that when you say you want your kid to be like you, people have reservations because it takes so long to get success, whatever. If I was a doctor, lawyer, and I said I want my son to be a doctor, lawyer, like, yeah, but you said comedian, like, oh, that might be risky. But the fact that he knows what I do for a living, and he knows, like, when daddy grabs a microphone, he talks, sound comes out of it, and people laugh. He's been on stage like 10 times. He's just turned 4, August 25th. But he really likes that energy, and I like the fact that he knows what I do, and he's excited about it. I'm not going to be like a Joe Jackson or like Serena Williams' dad. I'm not forcing him into it, but if it's something that he's having fun with and he likes to do it, I'll encourage it until he gets to the point where it's like, Dad, they get older. He's like, this, Daddy, I don't want to do that, or I don't like it. But
tell the story you told me about him with just recently that you just shot. Something.
We were whenever I leave to go out of town, he gets all sad. He's like, Daddy, where you going? I said, I'm going to work. He said, Daddy, I want to go to work and tell wokes with you. He can't say jokes. He said, tell wokes with you. I was like, well, do you have any wokes? So he looked at me, he said, yeah. I said, what's your woke? He said, caca. Like, that's his best written joke. And then I said, that's your only joke? He said, no, Daddy. And, kids, that's writing.
Right.
So I was at the Montreal Comedy Festival about 2 months ago, and he was there, and he was behind stage. He was backstage. You couldn't see him. The audience couldn't see him. He couldn't see the audience, but he could see me on stage, and I'm ripping. And I'm so proud, man. He's like looking at me like, oh, my daddy funny as a motherfucker. He didn't say that, but his body language said that that's what he was saying. Mm-hmm. And then I said, oh, shit. I said, I meant caca. And my son looked at me like, did this motherfucker just steal my bit? He looked at me like, he stopped his laughter. He was like, oh, I can't believe this motherfucker just said caca. Then he looked back at his mom like, this dude is stealing. Like, it wasn't even dad no more, right? And he started laughing at me the way you laugh at me. The joke had to laugh when you know it's funny but don't want to laugh. He was like, So I finally brought him on stage. I said, this is my son, Austin Rawlings. Everybody's like, yay. I said, do you got a joke? He said, yeah. I said, what? He said, but he looked at me like, I was going to do the caca bit, but you fucking blew it up. Now I'm just stuck with the bit. But it was so, and like, this dude is like, he just gives me just so much inspiration, so much motivation. People, and I had my son later in life, and people before he was born, people was like,
yeah, you old.
Yeah, I'm old. People are like, oh man, it's the best thing. It's the best feeling you're ever going to have. Nothing can compare to it. I'm like, you've never had a biracial menage a trois on an island. You know what I'm saying? That my son won the race of how much love you can have, but it wasn't by a landslide. We had to take that to the photo finish. And people always say, how is your focus now? I've always been focused, but it's like you got a camera that comes with the stock lens.
Changes your perspective.
Changes perspective, but it just makes my focus more fine-tuned now. You know what I'm saying? Where sometimes I was focused a little blurry. Now it's like that red ring lens. It's like, boom, you're right there. And you really know what your sense of purpose is. And that's what my son did for me.
God, it's so hard for me to say something nice to you.
You don't have to.
Okay, let's forget it. I admire your commitment and your realization that you know the process has to be gone through and that you do it. You just don't pay lip service to it.
Let me tell you something. As much as you say you dislike me, you were with me through the whole pregnancy and everything, and you gave me pointers, and that was the only time that we put the guns down. Yeah. Talking about kids, you was like this, yeah, Donnell, I hate to say this, but it's the best thing. You're gonna be good, and you've seen me through that whole journey of it.
You're gonna give people the wrong idea that I'm nice, so let's.
No, I don't want to give them that.
No, that's not happening. But just
end this show with the N-word, and they'll get it.
So will I.
Yeah.
So I'll leave that to you. I'll let you end it that way. But you don't just talk about it. You practice what you preach.
Yeah.
And to me, that's so much of the battle, because you've gone ahead and you've gone like, okay, like you said, you just performed in front of 6,500 people at Radio City,
right.
And then you went to some small club in Brooklyn and performed in front of 25 people.
I just opened for Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle at the Tacoma Dome. They broke an attendance record, 25,000 people.
Jesus.
You know, but you know the thing, going back to the whole comedy thing, like it was Ashley Barnhill, Ian Edwards, then Joe Rogan first half. And Joe Rogan, that's his audience. And it was in the Tacoma Dome. It was in the round. And then, you know, Joe Rogan, you go into any space like that, you feel like you're about to go wrestle somebody in MMA.
Right.
Because his energy is so crazy. In fact, when he was on his set, I was in the back fucking around, and I heard this big laugh. I'm like, oh shit, he's coming off. And I went inside the arena, and it wasn't him coming off. It was a transition to another joke. I started doing push-ups. I was like, this is going to be crazy. But but the point I'm making is that I see how hard Joe Rogan works. You know what I'm saying? He don't have to do that. He's a multimillionaire off his podcast. But when I see a person like him on every marquee, like working out stuff here, you know what I'm saying, the Comedy Store, and you do that stuff, that's what the preparation is to be able to go to those arena shows and kill it. Right. And it's only a handful of people out here that have that same energy. Like, although we just rocked 25,000, that's enough for people to say, I'm going to take off for 3 or 4 months. Guess what? We right back in the trenches. We right back on the stage. We always out there sharpening our toolboxes, sharpening our sword up so we can just go murder them.
I don't think it's just energy. I agree with you that it is the energy, but I also think it's kind of like people lack the commitment. Like, it's all of a sudden 25,000 people. I can take a rest now, you know, but those of you who are where you are at are there for a reason, because that commitment, like you said, carries over. Joe's here all the time. He's at the store all the time. Wherever, he's always working.
But you know what it takes. You know what it takes to be good, and to be good, you got to keep practicing.
And Chappelle is the same way. Chappelle is all over the place.
Man, that guy, I've seen him do 2-hour sets, 3-hour sets, 4-hour sets. But he's like what I call a microphone fiend. It's like, what people don't understand, comedy for most comedians, as much as we love what we give to the audience, it's like it helps us with our mental health too. You know what I mean? It's like therapy. You know, you're upset about something, you want to go talk about it. You're happy about something, you want to go talk about it. You just need that fix. The ones that really, really care about it and believe in it, you just got to get that stage.
You have, this is a terrible story to tell, but I'm going to tell it.
All your stories are terrible. What makes this one any different?
No, this is about Chappelle. You know, he comes in and he'll do the lab for 2-3 hours till 3-4 in the morning. And the manager at the time, it was getting late, and he had already been up there 2 hours, told the server, like, keep bringing him beers. Let him just keep drinking. Right. Sooner or later, he's going to have to go to the bathroom and get off stage. Oh,
that's hilarious.
But fortunately...
That's a funny story.
Fortunately, right before that, his wife called and said...
He got to get off the stage now, right? Yeah. That's how you do it.
He said, you need to come home.
And that's what... I don't care what man you are, what stage. Like, when wife calls, go home. Bye-bye, see you later.
That's it. That's the whole
trip. That's a funny story.
Has your career gone in the direction that you... Well, where are you going from here in terms of what else do you want to do?
The only thing what I want to do is I want to get more film and television work, just so I want to spend more time with my son. I'm on the road 42 weekends out of a year, you know, and I'm not at the point now where I'm selling out theaters. I'm still like, I'm a club comic that if you bunch me up with some other people, we can do some theaters and stuff like that. I'm not a dude that just can go sell 5,000 tickets. So I know where I am with that, but my focus now is that I just want to be able to not have to work as hard and make the same amount of money. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I can spend, like right now, my week consists of, normally if I'm doing a weekend at the Improv, usually I have to leave on Wednesday to do press on Thursday, and then the run is Thursday through Sunday, so I'm back on Monday. So I'm only home like 2 or 3 days. So, you know, that's right, with this Netflix show I'm about to do, The Degenerates, and some of the other things. Hopefully it'll put me in a position where I can get to the point where I can go out and do a theater like on a Friday night leave Friday, get there, and leave Saturday. That's my goal. It's not television, it's not movies. It's just being able to, not work as hard.
Is being on the road really, really tough?
It's tough. It's never tough for me because for the most part I've been in a lot of relationships, 3-year relationship here, whatever. So the only thing I usually had to come back for was for a chick.
Yeah.
But now it's tougher now because, right now it's the age of my son. He needs to be around me. When I come home, it's just all about him other than me stopping in here to do a set. But, it's tough because it's like I have a family that I had to think about and I want to spend time with.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the right thing to do, period.
Yep.
What is The Degenerates?
The Degenerates, it's a show, like everybody on Netflix is about the hour special. So I think Netflix decided that, not decided, but they realized a lot of times with these specials, people only watch like the first 15 minutes of the specials. So last year they started it. Last year was The Degenerates. Basically, it's an original comedy special from Netflix, but it's a group of comics. So basically, it's like 4 or 5 comics that do 15-minute specials. We shoot it in Vegas. We shooting it on September the 12th. Last year, Joey Diaz did it. Brad Williams did it. Yamanika Saunders did it. This year, I'm doing it. Miss Pat, Robert Kelly. But it's just I think it could be a gateway to you getting an hour special, especially if you tear it up. I think I'm on Netflix radar. You never know, but I know the thing that's close to me right now is 15 minutes, and there's no bigger player right now in the stand-up than Netflix. So it's gonna be a good look.
They have you so typecast by putting you on The Degenerates. It's beautiful.
No, but the thing, the thing that I thought about that because, I got to get in where I can fit in. So The Degenerates, the show is the idea was like raw, unedited, whatever. And I can go up there and I can do that. But at the same time, I could also go rock a show that's PG-13. But I'm not going to go up there and argue like I don't want people to think I'm the type of comedian. What I want to do is make people laugh and rip the stage. So, it's not like people look at me as a PG-13 or a super clean comic anyway. So it's not going to do anything to hurt the brand that is not even existing. Right. But it's going to be a good platform.
PG-13, just somebody trying to not use profanity usually backfires.
But the whole thing when I'll do shows, or somebody want me for a show, and they're like, "Well, I've seen your show. Can you keep it clean?" Yeah, you see my show in front of adults that have been drinking. You haven't seen my show in front of no 12-year-olds. You haven't seen my show in front of 15. So I'm going to adapt to my environment. I'm not going to, if I got a show at a church, I'm not going to like, how many of you motherfuckers love God? I might want to say that, but I might think that, but that's not what I'm going to say. I think that I can adjust to any audience.
I'm sure you can. Speaking of that, is there a difference performing in front of a black crowd and a white crowd, mainly, either or?
I say the response to jokes is a different energy. I think a lot of like mainstream white audiences, they really they don't give up the belly aching laughs like that. You know what I mean?
I think I stymied him, guys.
So it's more like a ha ha ha. But I can gut anyone. I can have white people.
Yeah, I know you can.
Like a black audience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's something about the black audience. Like when they love you, they love you.
Yeah.
When you start hearing shit, and then you hear, oh shit. Like I come here on Monday nights, and that's pretty much a black crowd. I can go in there and I could gut that audience out, and then come the next day on an audience that's not like that and still gut it.
Right.
I think it's a certain amount of comedians. I don't really, certain comedians that only work a certain audience.
Right. And that's not good.
That's not good. I'm like, and me personally, like I do mainstream audience. I don't have to do these
only this or only
nights,
that.
whatever. But for me, especially where I'm from, it feels good knowing like as a black comic, you always want to feel like you can rock the white audience and you can rock the black audience and you don't lose nothing.
Well, I agree with you. The reason I asked you that question is that I watch so many comics that unfortunately only get up to go on black shows on Monday or whatever.
I know black comics that consider themselves to be headliners, that if you put them in front of if they got 45 minutes to an hour, if you put them in front of a whole entire white audience, they will only have 15 minutes of jokes.
Yeah.
They just lose everything.
Well, it's, I guess it's a cultural thing to a degree, but it's also, I think, and I'm going to, it's mainly, I would assume, happens to black comics. You get pigeonholed into just doing with, just performing in front of black comics. I've told, a number of comics, like, you know what? Don't do that show again. You've done it half a dozen times. Let them put you up on a regular show. It's really that simple. You're that good. There's no reason not to. You want your audience to be varied. You want the world to be your audience.
When I first moved from D.C. to New York, and I came from the black comedy circuit, and a mistake I was making when I went on stage, I would always talk about my blackness. And then Tony Woods, one of my mentors, he said, Donnell, when they say your name and they see you, they know you're black.
That's right.
Just be funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, because I was like, but that was because I didn't have the experience.
Right.
And I tell anybody, like, it's only a handful of like black comedians that just make it through the black
period.
audiences.
Yeah.
Period. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, it's not like crossing over, selling out. Is that if you want to be a good comic, you want to be a good comic for everybody.
Right.
Not just the people that look like you, the people that are different than you, people that you never thought you performed for. That's when you start going to the next level, when you can rock anybody.
Yeah, and this is just, I guess it's just me, but I just try so hard to point out to some of the younger comics about, like, I'm performing at this black show at the Spot or wherever, and I'm going like, that's great, good for you, man, but get the other stuff.
But not only that, even in this business, like, it's unfortunate, unless there's like say BET is doing a show, the people that make a difference in your career don't go to those clubs too much.
Right.
They don't go. And
That's
there's
right.
so many jewels there, but they just don't go.
Mm-hmm,
They'll pick somebody like a talent scout to go out there, but it's a lot of talent in there, but you have to be able to have the work ethics. And one of the things that stop a lot of black comics from getting past in the improv and stuff like that is that they don't want to put the work in to get to know people.
Mm-hmm.
You got to socialize.
Yeah.
You got to mingle. You got to have conversations with different people, because it's always somebody's established had to say, take a look at this guy.
Right.
And then when I first started, the thing that was discouraging for a lot of black comics was that the mainstream rooms, like on the weekdays, they didn't really pay a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like in New York, you do a spot like in a white club or mainstream club in the weekdays, like a $25 spot, $30 spot. The black clubs, the black nights rather, it's like $150 to $200. And then if you do enough of them, if you don't have a lot of expenses, you can support yourself.
Right.
So they would always look at the money of it. Man, they only want to give me $25 when I get $150 over here. To be quite honest, they're the same level of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you got to make the sacrifices to get to the next level.
Let's get away from my seriousness. You do a lot of voices, or you've done a couple of voices on shows and stuff like that.
I've done a couple of animation stuff.
Yeah.
I just did a Pixar film that's coming out next June. If they don't cut me, hopefully they don't cut me. I think I did a good enough job. But that's what people always say. I have a distinct voice. Different outlook on life.
That's why I tell you to shut up every time you walk in before you even open your mouth.
You've already established that you like me. It's too late. The hate thing doesn't work now, man. They're like, and cut! Back to one. Nah, but I'm trying to like...
We can edit this.
Yeah, we're going to edit everything out of it. Edit you out of the podcast.
That's the start. It's, just playing with you is just a lot of fun. I mean, I have different relationships with different people. And the relationship I have with you, to me, is special. I've told everybody that that I know when I talk about you doing the podcast, I go
The
like,
things that you remember, because I know your memory's fading you. But go ahead.
yeah, I don't even know who I told this to.
Yeah.
I just say like,
You don't even know this is me. You think you interviewed an earthquake right now.
What do you mean you? Craig Robinson?
All right, thanks for coming out, Craig Robinson.
It's that like I have no idea where this is going to go. I just know that he's not going to be nice to me.
Not at
so
all.
I was like, it's fine. I'll just.
It's all good. When you told me you were
they're
doing the
just
podcast,
going to hate you.
They said when you told me you're doing the podcast, I was like, oh, now on a platform for me to just destroy you. Then the hate that I have for you, it's kind of like now you're being all emotional, and when you threw the kid thing up in there, now you got me saying oh and all that shit. But I don't like you, but I respect you.
Okay,
I'll say that.
that makes sense, and
That's
I
all
would.
we want to do is be respected.
I just don't want people to get the idea that now they're going to come on and start giving me shit.
No.
Because you did that, and this is what's going to happen.
No, you got a number of people that feel the same way I feel about you, man.
Well, that's
all right,
what I
they're
mean.
not as vocal as I am because they still haven't been passed in the club. They're like, I'm never going to be at work if I tell that motherfucker how I really feel about him.
Donnell, thank you so much. This
Thank
has
you,
been so
man.
good. I
It was
really
fun. It was
appreciate
unfortunate.
it.
I didn't want to do it. I kind of did want to do it.
He was threatened.
But I knew that you was like,
He's
hey,
here.
you say I want to try this. You know what I'm saying? As much as we can't stand each other, I say, whatever you want to do, I'll support it every way I can. And for all the kids out here that's looking for Santa Claus for this Christmas season, this is the pervert Santa Claus right here.
Well, you
My nigga!
and we're going to end on that note. Thanks, guys. I want to thank Mike Carano and Lindsay Rose, and we will see you next time.